Okay, welcome back. Now, we're discussing time frames now. Okay, so you guys have looked into money spots. Hopefully, by now you've mastered it. You've mastered it to such an extent that you can spot them all over the place. The money spot is generally the moment before the market goes, right? Now, what we're going to do with time frames is I'm going to help you refine the money spot. Now, with time frames, there's something called the two time frame rule. Okay, this is something that we like to follow at Forex Watchers and Urban Forex. This two time frame rule is something I need you to follow as well. The two time frame rule is do not go beyond the two time frames. Okay, this causes mass confusion, mass irritation in the brain, and you start ending up waiting or entering too early. If you go down extra time frames, you will enter early. If you go up extra time frames, you'll end up waiting all the time. Okay? So whichever side you do it, you're causing pain and panic. Okay? So let's start with some examples here. Now, when you see the markets coming down here, let's say the markets are coming down here, they pull back, they're coming down here. Let's do the rubber band man from the previous lessons that okay, he's running strong, he rests a little bit, he runs again, beats his record, drags his rest, 30% rest, 40% rest, runs again, and he cannot make even a lower low. Rests again, runs again, cannot even make a lower low, and then he rests 100%. And then he does his last run, and it's like, okay, he can't even go back to where he normally did, and he's out. In this whole process, here comes the buyers. Okay? So in this buying process, it's an uptrend going in, buyers, pull back, buyers. So this runner going upwards now, he's running, he rests a little bit, he runs again all the way up to here, he rests, he's maintaining grounds, and then he rests down almost 100%. But then look at his try, it never goes again. But he's still in buyer's territory, right? If I was to put a line here. It's like, okay, this is still buyer's territory. This is still the area where he's supposed to run up from. He's challenging the guy who started it, but he's just coming down to here and he needs to go up from here. But why does he go down? Okay, so when we look at this in terms of two time frame concept, I'm going to put a big circle around this area. Okay, and we're going to go up a time frame. So right now we're looking at this on a 4-hour chart, and we're going to involve one more time frame. That becomes two time frames now. We're going to go to the daily chart, which is the time frame above. And I'm going to explain to you why the one above is better than the one below. Okay, let me see where I can find that spot where to go. Did I scroll too far back? Maybe I did. There it is. Okay. When you look at that area right there, you're looking at the markets in terms of this entire move working its way down. Okay? So when you see this entire move working its way down, you're looking at this in terms of sell market. Okay? If it's in a sell market, you're looking at sellers, pullback, sellers. He's got momentum again, but he's resting quite a bit. Now, if he's resting quite a bit, here's your support equals resistance. He's supposed to stop there, supposed to. The guy who started it is up here, so he can challenge the guy up there. But all of this below is still seller's territory. Notice how when he takes his rest of 90%, he comes really fast down into the seller's area. Now that he comes crashing down, one can argue, well, is that an area that he broke, or are we looking at this entire area? Whichever area you look at it, if you do it the immediate way of looking at things, sellers, pullback, sellers, and then buyers take over. Pullback, buyers, no higher highs, but he did breach this high. Okay, let me put a line there. He breached that guy, but then no higher high since then, but then he came crashing down. It's like, okay, sellers are here. That's its pullback support equals resistance, and the guy who's responsible is this guy. Even if you look at it like that, the whole flow points downwards. Now, the reason why we go with the two time frame rule is when you're dealing with a money spot is basically one guy says sell, one guy says buy. Which one do you want to lean towards? Okay, for those of you who are jumping ahead and thinking out loud, if you said the higher time frame, that is correct. It is the higher time frame that always will dominate. Okay, now here's the tricky part. The reason why I say two time frame is watch what I'm gonna do right now. What if I said, but on the daily chart, Naveen, here's the support equals resistance for that guy. Isn't that supposed to be a buy? You see what I mean by 2 time frames? The more time frames you involve, the more confused you're gonna get, and the more you're gonna be like, well, I don't know what to do anymore. Okay? Same happens when you go down a time frame extra as well. You're gonna start getting confused, like, oh, it's a buy, but right now, it's gonna speed up the things even. So 2 time frames, wherever you are. If you want to trade weekly, then do weekly monthly. You want to trade monthly, do monthly yearly. You want to trade the 1 minute, do 1 minute 5 minute, or 1 minute 3 minute. Up to you. But don't involve more time frames. More time frames, more confusion. Okay? Now, generally, whatever time frame you're trading, the higher time frame is your godfather. Okay? So the higher time frame is your godfather, and that higher time frame is supposed to be the time frame that where you say, that's my anchor. He's the guy who's going to determine my fate. Now, if you generally go with the higher time frame, one can argue, yeah, but I went from the 4 hour to the daily, but isn't the weekly bigger than the daily? Isn't that more important? Why isn't it going up? You're going to confuse yourself. If you stick to just a higher time frame for you, your odds of winning increase. I'm not saying it's foolproof that you're always going to win. That's never going to be happening, because even for the weekly guy, a monthly might stand in between, right? Always keep that in mind. You want to be working with just one higher time frame. Okay? So, going forward, we're going to do some more examples, but I just wanted to lay that out flat. 2 time frames. So, every time you see me doing 2 time frames in a webinar or something like that, or even giving public webinars, you know why now. I'm not maybe explaining the situation because it's, it's some stuff we like to keep in-house, but you know why now. There's a lot of things we don't openly talk about, but we do keep it in-house. Okay? All right. So let's move on to the next example. And today, actually, I even posted up from the Money Spot example number 1. You guys should have a PDF for that. I believe it was New Zealand CAD. It was this chart where we didn't have further market. It was a live market where I was teaching you guys on, and I was telling you I'll post up later on once the data comes out. So it's a few days or a week later now. The data has come out, and I've posted it onto with the video. So you should see it in a PDF somewhere, the result of how it ended up. Okay, so moving forward, let's go get some more examples, yeah? Cool.